All right, everybody. It's Sunday night, and it's time for Jon Ferrian Live. Who's out there riding this weekend and living large? You guys know what living large is all about. It's living life to the fullest, making the most of every single day, and we're all about there making a difference to others in this world. So if you guys are out there living large, getting on the sled, doing what you do, drop it in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. Come on in. Let us know where you are watching from. All right, we got Ian McNichol. He's up from Saskatchewan checking in, one of our top fans. Who else is out there watching tonight? All right, we got Kevin Carell, another one of our top fans that are here every single week. Appreciate you guys checking in. Let's make sure we share this out. We're going to talk a little bit about Woody's Racing. Snowcross season is about to kick off. It's going to be a little weird without audiences and all that. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on, different than maybe it has in the past. But we absolutely are excited to see Snowcross racing back on the map. And Woody's Racing Team and Idaho and Potatoes, one of their sponsors, is putting up a hoodie as well as some Idaho and Potato samples for you guys to be able to share this out and get the word out. So we have Dom Maurice. So I saw you guys up on the snow today. Appreciate you. Big shout out to you. Good to see you today. And we're going to get out in the snow soon again. Mr. Patrick Fines is here. Mr. Monty Wharton is here. JR from Minnesota is here, as well as Tia Smith from California. And the Wagners are in the house, Melissa and David. You guys have been out on the snow as well, too, recently. Awesome, awesome. So William Singer's in the house. We got Jeremiah's here. Skinner Bell is here. Looks like we got some snow happening. Guys, I had the Skidoo Turbo out on the snow today. What a giggle fit I had today under my helmet. It was such a good time. And it's still in break-in mode. I can't even wait to get that thing, out of break-in mode. But it was just insane. That thing, I definitely will not be wearing the skis out on that thing this week. So, all right. Let me drop the Woody's Racing logo here. And let's talk a little bit about the final days of the contest for the end of 2020. So you guys know the Live Large merchandise. All of the proceeds go to Erie for the Live Large University Scholarship Program. We've got awesome prizes. You can win a ride with Ride Rasmussen style, a free ride day with him. You've got a level 1 avalanche clinic from Mad Ends and Mountain Skills. And then don't forget, over in Wyoming, over in Jackson, Wyoming, we have the Mountain Riding Lab. They're throwing up a level 1 also. So we got three epic prizes, plus cool merchandise that you guys can get on there by jumping on the website. So in the show link is the website information. Get in there. Somebody's going to win those 3 epic prizes, and all items ordered from now through the rest of the year, only, what is it, like 10 days left or something like that, we are pretty much ready to make that happen. So get your merchandise there, share the show out. Let's have a good time tonight. All right, guys, let's kill the music, and let's bring our guests on tonight. So here in 3, 2, and 1. There we go. We've got Will and Alex from Ibex. So welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. How are you guys tonight?
Not too bad.
Not bad.
Good. So, Will, you're on the... I like to read left to right, just like they taught me in school. And so I'm going to do some introductions here, and, I'll turn it over to you guys here in a minute. But, let's start out with just kind of letting everybody get to know you a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about, kind of where you're at, where you grew up. And you guys are brothers, right? That's clear to everybody, I think.
Yep.
So we got Will and Alex are brothers in business together, and we're going to talk about that throughout the night and some amazing products that these guys have. But, Will, let's just start with, who's the good-looking brother?
Definitely him.
Oh, wait. Well, you both raise your hands. We can't have 2 the best-looking brothers. Like, who's going to settle this? Is mom going to have to settle this, or, like, sister? Or who's...
Yeah, maybe sister. She would definitely tell us we're both ugly. So.
Oh, okay. Well, since Will gets to go first, he gets to say whatever he wants, and then Alex come back and counter back to it. So Will, introduce yourself as the smart, good-looking brother if you want, and then Alex will come in here in a minute and tell you you're wrong. But let's just kick it off and tell us a little bit about who you are, or where your background. Is this your day job? Is this like a passion project for you guys? Like, let's let everybody get to know you a little bit.
So yeah, I am from Idaho, and both of us live here now still, and we worked at another company and decided that we kind of wanted to do clutching and snow stuff because we both had a passion for riding snowmobiles. So
That's awesome. So you grew up in what city? It was Aberdeen, you told me on the
Yeah,
pre-show? Okay. So
yeah.
I've been to Aberdeen, South Dakota, but I don't think I've been to Aberdeen, Idaho yet. Where the heck is Aberdeen, Idaho? Can you tell everybody?
So we're southeastern corner of Idaho, not far from, I guess you could call Pocatello a city, but
Gotcha.
yeah, we're a very small town.
Okay, nice, nice. And you guys grew up there riding sled, and that was it a kind of your dad was into it? Is that what happened?
Yep. Dad ran a snowmobile dealer back in the 90s and
Awesome.
continued to be addicted through the years. So
Very cool, very cool. And for you, Will, is Ibex kind of your full-time day job, or is this something you dabble in on the side, or do you have another day job that you dabble in, or no?
it is my full-time job. We also run a custom harvesting business, but that one's more the side business now.
Okay, gotcha. All right, Alex, it's your turn to trump brother. Is it now? Who's older here? Do we need to have that battle too? Like who's bigger, who's older?
He's older for sure. Can't you
Okay.
tell?
So well, I don't know. Like it's I could guess, but I would be wrong. That would be my bet, right? So Will's the older, smarter, better looking brother, according to Will. How about you, Alex? What's the story on you? What's your story?
Well, what I tell every single customer that comes up to is I'm the looks and he's the brains, and we're
Oh,
kind of both departments. So we kind of work really well together doing. I kind of he gets stuck in a rut, and I try to shoot him out of it, and try to keep him on his toes when he's doing his thing with the clutching. He's very engineered mind. So,
okay.
but I'm definitely the way better looking one, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well, we'll let the audience maybe pick too, if there's any, especially if there's any ladies in the audience too. Like, feel free to let us know which one's a good looking one. If a bunch of dudes start saying one's good looking the other, it might just get weird. So we're just gonna kind of let that one fly. But
All right.
but hey, let me tell everybody how I got introduced to you. I first met up with Alex on the phone, and the reason I met up with Alex on the phone is one of our passionate video watchers every week, David Wagner, who runs the Iron Dog. He had recently purchased your product, had partnered with you, or had a quick discussion. He's been kind of promoting your products, and I personally was in the market for some new ice scratchers, and I run Skidoos, and the stock ice scratchers are very similar design. What's there? And so I got on the phone with you, Alex, and said, hey, I'm interested in picking up some ice scratchers from you. So we got that set up, and I've been using them now for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And, I don't know, like Idaho, you guys get some pretty good, light, fluffy snow. Have you guys ridden in Washington before over in the Cascades? You ever heard of Cascade Concrete?
Nope.
I would tell you that, like, if anybody can put ice scratchers to the test, it's us over here in Washington State. It's like one day it's like 20 degrees, the next day it's like 40 degrees, and then it freezes again overnight, right? And so, like, running our mountain sleds from the snow park up into the Alpine to be able to get in there, there's days literally we call them ice scratchers for a reason. We're not scratching snow up here. Sometimes we're literally scratching ice, and to keep our sleds cool is pretty detrimental. And I know my experience just over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've had about 3 rides on them now, and it's been pretty amazing. They're very, very similar to the Skidoo ones that I've taken off. And one of my favorite things was the fact that literally I just was able to unbolt the old ones, bolt the new ones in. I didn't have to drill anything. I didn't have to modify anything. And I think I literally had your ice scratchers installed in like 5 minutes. So it's pretty amazing product. Quality is top notch. It's working very effectively. I would honestly say it's working better than my Skidoo ice scratchers as far as keeping the machine cool. What was the inspiration, you guys, for the ice scratchers? Because I know you do not only ice scratchers, but also you've got the clutch kits and a bunch of other things for like. So we're going to get into all the different products tonight, but just since I've been lucky enough to use the ice scratchers, I thought I'd start with that. But what was the inspiration for the ice scratchers?
That was kind of my dad and my brother's idea. I never run them because I hate having to bend down and pick them up. But I've always run Arctic Cat, ever since 13. And my cousin and my dad and my uncles all bought Ski-Doos, and they had those ice scratchers on them, and they never put them up. Literally never put them up. So I was like, well, why hasn't anybody else done this? So we started looking into it, and William and my dad came up with the idea to do them, kind of similar to what the Skidoo ones, where you could reverse them, because you didn't really need them back in the day. When we were younger, none of the sleds except for the 4-strokes had reverse, so you didn't have to worry about it, right? But now With the engine reverse and all the technology that's coming out, we figured that reversible would be the best thing, and we'd run a couple sets of cable scratchers along those, and those worked pretty good. But we needed something that was literally gonna scratch the ice, like you said. So we launched into a couple of different designs, and we've changed them up a little bit just to try and get around some stuff and make a quality product. We use thicker wire than what the Skidoo ones and the Arctic Cat ones and the Polaris ones use. So.
Yeah, and I would say, just from my own personal perspective, the ice scratchers work flawlessly. And I told you on the phone, Alex, is the one downside is on my wife's sled. She runs a Skidoo set as well too, and the springs being heavier and more effective make them a little more effort to get them up and down off of the rails. So if I had to offer any complaint whatsoever about the product, which doesn't affect the performance of the product, but just at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, like I have to go over right now at this point and kind of, we're working on it. My wife almost had it up there tonight, but I had to go over and help her out again tonight too. But, it's a good workout routine, right? Like you can sit at the desk here and you got like these, hand scratcher. Like I've been working out all day, doing this stuff when I'm at the office here. Like that's kind of when I'm on conference calls. So I'm good to go. So.
Sweet.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, like I try to give, and that's one of the things that my followers have is I try to give fair reviews of the products too. And it's like, I'm never going to like talk bad about products, but like, highlight the products as far as, what the true benefits are, which as far as them being more effective, they go backwards, forwards, no problem there. But the stiffer spring, the benefit and the downside there too. But one question did pop up is I run Skidoo personally, but let's talk about the fitment and the application for the other brands, whether you're working with Arctic Cat or Polaris sleds. Do they bolt onto those rails just as easy, or are there other brands where you have to maybe drill out the rail for a hole, or do you find that they pretty much just bolt onto any rail out there?
The biggest thing that we've run into is on the shorter tracks. We're not around very much shorter than about 154s since everything went to the longer track.
Oh, yeah.
On the like the Polaris stuff, you do have to drill a hole for the brackets, but we kind of see that as an upside because then your rail doesn't get scratched like the stock ones and stuff.
Gotcha.
But they do fit very, very nice on. They should bolt up. I know on my Polaris that I had in 17 for the business, they bolted right up in where the stock position was. I just had to drill one hole for the brackets. So, but they've been pretty universal on there. We've had really, really good reviews on how universal they've been.
Yeah, and I know Wagner is making comments here too. He said Melissa installed her own in about 20 minutes on the machine, because she probably drilled that out too. But like literally on the Skidoos, like it was a 5-minute job. And I know one question's popping in here too from the audience, and it's a very different design. So I guess I'm going to ask the question, but I'm assuming no. But feel free to correct me. Do you make any kind of ice scratcher product for the Alpha One, the monorail yet?
We're working on it. That one. I don't know. They put that rail in the center and it makes it really nice and tippy. I really like it. But yeah, the scratchers, those ones are a little bit more difficult. We have been looking at it, but we're trying to figure it out. We don't have anything currently. Yeah.
No worries. So cool. But you guys offer like tons of other amazing products as well too. And when I got on the phone with you, you were like, hey, actually some of our primary products that we offer are really our clutch kits. And you've shared with me just in private conversations how amazing and kind of unique the clutch kit and the setup you guys have. And I think, one of my favorite comments that you've made to me is this idea of like, it's kind of counterintuitive. You're making clutch weights out of titanium, right? And you think of titanium being lightweight, not a lot of weight, but at the same time, a clutch kit, you kind of are looking for weight, so it's counterintuitive. So I want you guys to kind of deep dive into this and, William versus Alex, like you guys, between the two of you, figure out like who tees what up or whatever. I guess I'll let you guys decide who's talking about what, but let's anything else on the ice scratchers before we move on? Otherwise we'll dive into the clutch kits. So.
No, I think we pretty much covered that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Unless the audience has any more questions on it, but
I'll keep an eye. I'll keep an eye on it for now. So there's some comments here. People are going back and forth about some of the different cat designs and stuff like that too, but not necessarily in reference to yours, but from some others. Just the Alpha One scratchers. They mount in different places as well too. But cool. But yeah, let's dive into the performance clutching and the clutch kit. So again, kind of what I love about this is you guys come up with this unique idea, like let's just not do it the same way everybody else is doing it. Where did that come from? Like, what was the idea to do it completely different from everybody else?
Well, I've been working with my dad since I was probably about 5 years old, dinking with clutching back when he used to do racing in the 90s. And
Okay.
all the way through, we went through lots of different brands of sleds, messing with clutching. And it was about 2013, I got a Pro RMK
Okay.
and got a silver turbo kit for it. And I just did not like the clutching. And we'd been doing turboed Yamahas.
Okay.
And so we had kind of figured out something that worked in there. And I was like, how about we try and see if we can make our own weight and take some ideas from various different brands that we had had. And it kind of grew from there. We made a weight that worked really good on the turbo.
Okay.
And then we moved into, 16? We decided, this weight works so well. How about we try and do a whole business on this? And that's when we started Ibex.
Okay.
And from there, we've learned a lot. Our whole focus was the industry. I mean, and there's a few unique. I don't want to diss on competition. So there is unique ideas, but if you look as a whole, the industry uses basically copy paste engineering, and I try to say that with the kindest way of thinking. But they take a factory weight, they copy it, they add screws, they add magnets, they move mass around a little bit. But at the end of the day, your shift characteristics, your performance is usually not drastically different from what can be done with a set of Polaris 10 series weights or Cat 13 J13s or Ski-Doo ramps. You can get to basically the same thing a million different ways.
Okay.
What we realized was that a clutch is a series of leverages. And I think everybody kind of understands a breaker bar.
Okay.
Hopefully. So the idea is everybody thinks, throw more weight at the weight to make it push harder. Well, if you've got a 1 foot wrench, you might have to put a 300-pound guy on there to do 300 pound-feet of torque, right?
Yeah.
Or you can make that a 3-footer and a 100-pound guy can do it.
That's interesting. So you're adding leverage instead of weight is kind of what it comes down to. Is that the kind of the net of it? Yeah, that's amazing. And of course, clearance, you've already figured out all the calculations and there's no clearance issues with the extra length or anything like that, it sounds like.
Well, it's a little more complicated than actual length that we're using leverage. We're actually using angles to get the leverage instead of length.
Okay.
So we changed the shape of the weight to get the angle.
Okay.
Now, we're not the first ones that have tried this, but most people that have tried it have failed because they forgot about the second half of the equation, and that is the secondary. So we sell what we call a stage 1 kit, but we don't really sell it. I mean, it's kind of there for people that just really, really want to do it themselves, and they usually fail. So we sell our stage 2 kit to everybody because it includes everything in the primary and everything in the secondary. And we've generated mathematical equations to be able to come up with these shapes based off of horsepower and logs and various things. And we go a lot deeper than anybody else when it comes to clutch.
So what was your favorite subject in school, William? Was it math?
I did like math, yes. Math and, oddly enough, computers.
Computers and math. So you're as Alex said at the beginning, kind of the brains behind the operation and the design, I take it, based on what you've described so far, or no?
Yeah,
Me?
Alex.
No,
William is, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Alex does a lot of the day-to-day operation, and he's the one that keeps me in line because sometimes I get stuck in a rut and like, why isn't this working? And he can kind of push me, hey, go over there a little bit.
Well, it's so funny because like as we're sitting here having this conversation, like I think of my two sons, right? You guys are brothers. I got 2 boys here that are 2 years apart in age as well, and I've got the youngest one who he's like 17 years old, and like he's taking like advanced college like mathematic type classes, and he tells me what these classes are even called, and I've never even heard of them before, and he's like testing out of stuff too. I'm just like, yep, he's going to figure something out someday that I'll have no idea what he's talking about. But I'm picturing myself, my 2 boys here in front of you guys. Cool. So clutch kits. So the applications, like I guess anything you want to add, Alex? Otherwise, I guess I'll continue to ask questions here. But before I do, is there anything you want to add to what William said so far?
No, not really. I mean, William pretty much covered the basics of what we do. We do stuff a lot differently. like he said, we don't push our stage ones really at all because we like to work with both clutches. You get 50% of the equation. You only get, you still get 50% of everything that you're working with. So
yeah.
Pretty much covered the mathematical side of it, which I didn't like math in school at all. So
you were probably taking like gym or photography or phy ed
I
or
was
something. Yeah.
was really good at physical ed. It was really good at that. So.
Hey, I was a presidential physical fitness award winner back in like middle school myself. So
Yeah,
I know I was in your camp. Like I wasn't the smart kid.
For sure.
Awesome. And so it's really interesting. Like I said, a completely different design, all about the angles and everything there too. But and maybe you covered it, maybe I missed it. But I'm just going to ask: is like, what sleds are you building clutch kits for? Are you doing Polaris, Arctic Cat, Yamaha, Skidoo, all of the above, or limited version? Like, who are you building for?
We build for all 4 brands.
Okay.
The Skidoo, we don't go back to the TRA clutch. We only started on the P drive clutch in 17 because they went back to the traditional flyweight system instead of the old TRA where they had the
rollers and
the rollers.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, which is a far more efficient clutch to begin with, and then to make it even better from there is amazing. So that's awesome. So. Right. Cool. So what do you guys, I mean, I don't know if you can share this or not, but like who out there is using your clutches now that are just putting them through the drills? Are there like racers out there? Are there pro riders out there? Is there anybody out there? I mean, outside of yourselves, of course, but anybody who's using your products that, is just like hammering them home and like, just, I guess, really showcasing what these clutches are really capable of and the clutch kits and stuff are? Is there anybody that you want to highlight at all?
William talks to more of the I guess the racer type guys, because those guys definitely are more technical about it. We've got one dealer here that we went out with last year, and they saw a significant difference on the Polaris 800 and 850 Patriot motor. But William, I think we've got a few semi-pro riders running our stuff.
Very cool.
But William, I think, knows a little bit more about that.
Anything you want to add there, William?
Yeah, so we've got, I don't know if you're familiar with David Fisher from Polaris. He uses our stuff in a lot of his race sleds, and he does watercross actually, and has, I think he's won the world championship the last 4 years in a row. So
very cool.
He runs our stuff on his watercross sleds. And then there's, I don't know the people directly because we more sponsored a business, but there is a handful of Turbo 600 Polarises in the Rimshaw series that run our clutching.
Very cool.
A couple of them, I think, are some of the winning ones, but I don't know them directly. We went through another business. So
yeah. And then, on the snowmobile clutching, where do you find that the biggest performance gain is with your guys' product? Is it responsiveness? Is it low end, medium, high end, all of the above? Like where do you focus your performance enhancements to, or is it just a broad performance enhancement across the board, or like how would you describe it?
It's all of the above. It's bottom end, mid range, top range. That's the advantage of being able to alter the profile with as much as we do, like William mentioned with the profile. I mean, for instance, on a Turbo 800 Polaris, you run between 74 to 82 grams, depending on what boost level and elevation and you're running. We would run with that kind of setup. We'd run between 56 and 66 grams on there. So your in and out throttle becomes a lot faster just by slinging less mass. Everybody's spending a lot of money to lighten up their rotating mass, and then they go and put 80 gram weights in there. But it's all the way through. We focus on the bottom, then we focus on the mid, then we focus on the top. The helix has a lot to do with that. Your weights have a lot to do with that. Yeah. And that's why we push our stage 2. But William might have more of the technical side of it that could be more helpful to some people.
Nice. So here's a question that came up. I'll just throw it out there. It says, will the Ibex clutching help prolong the belt life in my Can-Am X3 Turbo RR running stage 3 from Evo? You guys obviously, and that was a great transition because I know you guys talked to me a little bit about you do, UTV side-by-sides as a big part of your guys' business. So why don't we just shift right into that and maybe try to answer his question either along the way, or if you want to hit it head on, you can. But he's got a question about belt life in his Can-Am X3 Turbo.
Yes. So in relation to belt life, questions are a loaded question, I find, because they're so dependent on drivers and setup. Depending on what his setup is, the answer could be yes, it could be no. Our clutching, we don't have belt life issues with it, I guess is probably the best way to do it.
Okay.
Put it. Does it enhance what's there? That depends on what you have and how bad your situation is. Yes, it could potentially be way better. I mean, we have had customers that are popping belts all the time, put our stuff in it and fix it. But I've also had customers that are popping belts all the time, put it in, doesn't make any difference because it actually came down to a mechanical issue with the buggy. So
okay, gotcha.
That's a very loaded, there's way too many variables in belt life to be able to give a definite yes.
So
but as far as our clutch kit goes on the Can-Am, we knock it out of the park. That clutch kit is substantially faster than any other clutch kit out there. We recently, with the way we do our clutching, and it kind of leads into what you had asked earlier about where it helps out. Our focus is to get the engine to RPM as quickly as possible, to hold RPM as long as possible, and maintain the torque band the entire range. And all the dyno runs that we've had done on like Can-Ams independently, we come to most other clutchings reach peak horsepower. And I say, like, I guess if I can use my hands as an example, their power band looks like this.
Okay.
And the top of it's at about 45 miles an hour to 55 miles an hour. Our clutching looks like this. We peak at we still reach peak at 45 to 50, but we're within 2 to 3 horsepower by 25 miles an hour and maintain that all the way to almost 70.
Very nice.
So our power range, our whole power band is so much more broad that you put it in a situation where you drag race or anything, it is incredibly faster.
Nice. Very nice. So there's a question popped up, Skinner Bell out of Wyoming. He runs a supercharged Arctic Cat, right? And he's wondering, do you guys make clutch weights that are compatible with the supercharger systems?
Alex, go ahead. I'll let you.
Yeah, we have something that'll work okay. We had a supercharger last year my cousin bought, and we didn't we threw the clutching on there, and it'll make a substantial difference all the way through. I think some of the competitors tell you to gear up on the right hand side, and we try to use the full range of the clutches. So yeah, it'll make a substantial difference. And the supercharger is beautiful because it's just more stock horsepower basically, right? You've got when you touch the throttle, they basically stand on end because they've got a lot of bottom end and then we feed that. Everybody says, oh, the superchargers, lay down at the top. We've resolved that by the way that we do the clutching, like we've mentioned several times, and we'll keep mentioning, is the difference in the profile that we've done.
Yeah. Okay. Nope. That's awesome.
So,
somebody, Chris Vollmer, he says, I've run it on a snowmobile for the last 4 years and I've never blown a belt. So you got somebody who's using your products now that's kind of vouching for the quality of the system, and they've had no belt durability issues with changing to your clutch kit. Sounds like it's been going awesome. So what else do we want to talk about around the clutch kits? I guess, is there anything you want to highlight, whether it be on the side-by-side market or on the snowmobile market? Anything that I know you mentioned to me too that you're also dabbling in performance boosts, right? I think there's a great little tie in here, and something I think is relevant to this conversation is you guys had at one time in the past a pretty direct correlation to, is it Bully Dog? Was that the name of the company, right? Which is performance tuning for trucks. Like, it's a very well brand name there too. So talk to us about your association with Bully Dog and then how you've been able to apply that over to what you're doing now, and let's then take it off into like performance tunes for turbochargers, whether it be stock or aftermarket, and what you're doing there. So
the one thing, like you mentioned with Bully Dog and William mentioned where our passion came from and how and why we started doing clutching is my dad and his two brothers are the ones that started Bully Dog in 1998. My uncle has this weird thing where him and his brother, not my dad, but my two uncles, if my uncles want something or my dad and my one uncle want something to get done, they tell my other uncle that he can't do it. And that's how it starts.
That's
you
awesome.
know? And they've always told us, go into it and think outside the box. My uncle used to have something that sit on his desk that said, think outside the box. And so that's what we did when we came into this business, was we said, clutching has been around for 40 to 60 years in sleds. And we're like, we did something different in 2013, like William mentioned. And so we wanted to come into this thinking outside the box. And so we've had a lot of trial, we've had a lot of errors, but our philosophy is kind of, you're not failing, you're not succeeding. So a lot of R&D has gone into how we do this. The CNC stuff that we've done, we've got, on cats, I think we've got 30 plus different profiles that we've tried, and we came to a solution. And Chris Ballmer, I think he runs a cat, and he actually, we know him personally, and he helped us design a lot of the weights. He's a mechanical engineer and understands angles a lot better than I do, that's for sure. So that's kind of where our passion came from. Is Bully Dog, they said think outside the box, and so we came in and we're like, okay, let's think outside the box.
Very good, very good. And then you guys have then been applying that outside of the box thinking into some turbocharger systems that you're working on, and then as well as starting to tune things like Skidoo factory turbos. Why don't you kind of elaborate on that?
Well, a guy came to us 2 years ago and was working on a turbo kit and wanted us to clutch it. He kind of, I don't really know, he found us somewhere, and then he learned of our background. And so he said, do you guys want to do the tuning? And we love it, but we hate it. It's a love-hate relationship. The tuning side is a nightmare to a certain degree. So we said, yeah, sure, we'll take it on. And then this guy figured out how to oil a turbo vertically. Most people, you can't set it on, I think, more than a 30-degree angle, if I'm not right, on that. And he figured out how to flip it 90 degrees and oil it. So he gave me a kit last year, and we to do the testing on. He had never had it, so we ran through that and got some ECM tuning done on it. And we've got our own device now that we're bringing through a third party. We're working on the turbo Skidoo on that, and of course our background with the tuning software and Bully Dog, we have a lot of knowledge in where that comes from. So.
Yep. Okay. So Ian McNichol is asking on a factory turbo sled, so I'm assuming we're talking about a Skidoo here. Can you open it up so that it makes boost before kind of their high elevation thing? So as you guys know, the Skidoo turbo, it's like a progressive turbo. So like how are you addressing that? Are you kind of opening up the boost earlier? Are you making more overall power just all the way through the power band? Or like what are you trying to do with like a Skidoo turbo sled? So
William's the more technical on this one.
All right.
Yeah, so the short answer is, yeah, it'll build boost all the way down to sea level.
Okay.
Once it's going to depend, on which tune you have, and we're still working through exactly where we want to go. Our goal with that goes back to the root of our thinking outside of the box. I'll probably have a bunch of people look at me funny when I say this, but logs prove it. So the Skidoo turbo actually spools insanely slow. The boost comes on at a crazy slow rate.
Okay.
They do that to make the power really linear and to give the bottom end of a naturally aspirated 800, because a turbo is like putting a butt plug in the system, so it corks everything off on a normal system.
Okay.
And so Skidoo did a really good job. It feels like it has a ton of bottom end, but it's actually the raw horsepower of a naturally aspirated engine that you're feeling.
Yeah.
And then boost comes in at a really linear, smooth rate. We're working on making that, because as soon as you turn that boost up, you start to feel that lag. And anybody that's tried any of our competitors' tunes will probably agree with me that all of a sudden you start to feel that turbo kind of being lazy. And so we're going to address that with a couple of ways. One, with clutching, because we understand the clutching really well.
Nice.
So what we're hoping is to offer a package that will include a tune that hopefully will bring boost in faster and earlier, but also not sacrifice that bottom end that is so beautiful out of that engine.
Yeah.
And then we're going to follow that up with clutching that will give you that response, which is what we've done with other engines and created a situation where, like this Artie Cat kit, we're coming out of the hole with the superchargers with our turbo kit, and that's just unheard of. But
That's awesome.
we're able to do that because of our background in clutching and tuning.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, you think about it like in the world in general, right? Like you've got people who do the clutching and people that do the tuning and the building. And it sounds like you guys have been able to, just through your history and your experience that you've had, to be able to kind of tie it all together, which is the total package, right? I think that's what everybody is always looking for, is like, what's the holy grail out there? It's the, somebody who can kind of service that entire package versus just a piece of it, right? Because there's nothing worse than buying a performance part and one piece of it that's not necessarily designed to go with some other piece of it, right? When it's all worked and designed to work together, it's always when everything works amazing. So,
Yes.
very cool. So, what else have we not talked about yet that you guys want to still chat about? I know in my notes here, I've got a couple of items, things like a throttle block for Polaris. Do you want to mention that a little bit and tell us about what you got going on there?
Yeah, we had a dealer come to us and ask us if we could build a throttle block, because my dad and them, they sold Bully Dog in 2014, and then they got back together and started a 3D printing company.
Okay.
And so they plastic 3D print. So that obviously made it a lot easier for us, especially for fitment wise. We started printing the clutch weights rather than spending $60 a weight on getting a CNC piece made just to see if it fits in the clutch correctly, So that made it a lot easier. But
Wow.
We had somebody come to us, a dealer come to us and ask, hey, can you build a throttle block? And we were like, yeah, that's fine. So I think actually Chris Vollmer on here actually designed that whole thing, but it stops the, you can tighten it down really, really tight so it doesn't rotate on the handlebars. And then it's got a slight, can't remember what it's called, taper, so that when you let off the throttle and you've got a snow buildup or you roll the sled or something like that, it actually pushes the snow out so you don't get the snow stuck in the throttle cable or something like that. And it's plastic 3D printed, so it's very, very strong. It's an inexpensive way to upgrade it if you do a lot of jumps and stuff like that. We've heard of a lot of people that'll launch them off cliffs, cliff jumping and jumps like that, that when they land, their hands are not in the right position and they'll bust that stock one right off. So
Gotcha.
This one's a very, very inexpensive way to put something on this that's very strong. So it helps in that department as well.
Very cool, very cool. Well, why don't you guys share your website information, and we can, when the show's done, I would encourage both you guys to go into the show and enter any information you want to. But why don't you verbally just share your website, where people can find you guys if they want to get a hold of you, whether it be phone numbers, websites, whatever you want to share. So.
Okay. Well, William can do this part. He knows how to spell.
Oh boy, that's not true. I think it starts with a www, but I can't remember. No, our website is Ibexx.com. It's pretty simple, IBEXX. So there's just 2 X's in it. Otherwise, it's the same as the animal.
There you go.
And our phone number is 208-352-3045. And feel free to give us a call, although we will be shutting down for Christmas and probably on Thursday, and then we'll reopen the Monday following New Year's Day. So
very good.
I think it's the 3rd or 4th, just so everybody knows.
So
but
what
if
about
you hit us up on Facebook, we'll definitely be there to answer. Our number one thing is customer service. If you call us, you have a problem, you're blowing the belts, you have a problem with a clutch weight or any questions about that, we cannot stress enough how much we care about our customers having a good experience with us.
Very good, very good. And so, I'll share my personal experience with ordering the ice scratchers from you guys. Is I literally, I talked to you on the phone, Alex, and then you sent me to your website, and literally from the website to, I think it took me a couple of days is all it took for me to get the stuff too. By the time you packaged it, it was shipped right away with same day or the next day at the latest. And is that something that most of your customers will experience going forward? Is, do you guys turn stuff around really quick? Like when it comes to clutch kits, do you have to build custom stuff, or is everything kind of pre-made, ready to go, ready to ship? Or what's that customer experience journey look like for you guys, whether it be clutching or ice scratchers or whatever? So,
well, as most of us have experienced this year, there's some sort of virus going around. I don't know. We're a pretty rural area. We don't even have internet, so we don't know much about it. But
no idea what you're talking about.
The Can-Am clutch kit is the only one that we've been out of stock. They've been flying off the shelves basically. Other than that, it's a 1 to 2 day ship time, if not same day most of the time. There are some exceptions, obviously, but most of our stuff is ready to go, ready to send out. So.
Very good. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, like I know I got what I needed very quickly, and it was easy to install. And I think I talked to you in the first part of the week, and by the weekend I was ready to ride. So it worked out awesome. So
Cool.
Cool. Well, what else have we not talked about that you guys want us to make sure we touch on tonight before we wrap this up?
I don't know if we want to mention the UTV turbo stuff or not.
There's a guy that has a Can-Am X3, so we might as well tell him what we got coming here in the next 3 weeks, I think.
Well, let's just do a quick survey here, but this is for the both now and for the replay later. But most of us who are snowmobilers have some kind of a summer toy, and so if you have some kind of a summer toy, side by side, ATV, something with a clutch kit like this too, like feel free to drop that in the comments. Let us know. In the meantime, why don't you guys go ahead and share? Because I know like there's so many people out there that I see in my own Facebook feed all summer long. They're out doing side by sides and ATVs and such, and it's definitely a growing sport that everybody's getting interested in. I'd love to hear you talk about that.
Well, I want to let William elaborate a little bit more on what the Twins is, but he does have, he failed to mention that he does have another full-time job that he's doing. He had twins a week ago, and so it kind of went, went along with what we're doing with the twin turbos on the Can-Am. So I'll let him elaborate a little bit more on why we did it and what's going to come with it and stuff like that.
Go ahead. Yep.
So back to the kind of thinking outside of the box, we live in a higher altitude, quote unquote, area, which I mean, a lot of snowmobilers that are mountain riders probably have the same situation. And all of the optional turbo upgrade kits out there for UTVs, they take the stock turbo off, put a bigger turbo on, and although they build a whole bunch of horsepower, like I was showing that power curve, their power curve starts going like this. Yeah, it's really high when you get going really fast, but you got to have a lot of space to get there because it's lazy. It's not fun to drive. It's fun to get the rush of the horsepower, but if you don't have the space for it, it just becomes kind of a waste of money if I can put it that way. I mean, that's a bit of a harsh way to put it, but I kept thinking about it and didn't like it. And let's see, in the mid 2000s, I had a Yamaha Nitro that I decided I wanted the twin turbo. So I built a compound turbo kit in the shop, myself and a couple of buddies.
Okay.
And that thing, outside of the snowmobile being absolutely terrible,
yeah.
the engine package and power delivery was absolutely incredible.
I bet.
And so not only did you build a lot of power, but like that Nitro, I had 3 pounds of boost by clutch engagement.
Yeah.
It drove like a supercharger, but was so smooth and so fast that it made the sled fun to a certain extent. But like I say, the chassis sucked. So fast forward a few more years, and my brother bought a Subaru, and same thing. I was looking at this, and it came with a bigger turbo on it, and it was just lazy. And didn't like it. So I was like, well, let's compound this thing. So
I just have to ask, William, is there anything in your life that's still stock? I'm picturing I'm picturing these two twin babies in like a rocker swing with a turbo on it. Yeah. Like the kids are gonna get flung. The kids are gonna get flung out the window into the snowbank because William turbocharged the rocker.
yeah, probably.
That's awesome.
No, that's true. I mean, that's true. I did fail to mention before the twin turbo Nitro, I had a twin turbo Cummins that I drove in high school. So
very good.
I have an addiction to twin turbos. So,
I mean, if one turbo's good, 2 turbos has to be better, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I did the Subaru in like 2013, and same thing. It got insanely responsive and fun to drive. It just didn't have very good crank life. So
lost a few engines on that one.
So then I started thinking about these Can-Ams, and I'm like, I want to compound this thing. So
well, I'm going to pause you for a sec. I'm going to pause you for a second as you're getting ready to tell that story. As I've got Mark Connor from Oregon here, who was asking questions earlier about his Can-Am Maverick or his Can-Am thing. He goes, twin turbo Can-Am X3. He says, "Shut up and take my money." So
Awesome. It's available on the website right now.
Hey, give us a call. We'll sign you up for the beta testing
that's awesome.
release that's coming out here.
There you go, Mark. Reach out to these guys and they'll get you set up. So anyway, keep going.
So fast forward to about a year ago, a guy that we work pretty closely with, he wanted to turbo our personal Can-Am. He wanted to put a bigger turbo on it. And that's when I was like, okay, yeah. He gave us a turbo kit, built the turbo kit, had it, and brought the thing back. And it was fast, don't get me wrong. I mean, you built a lot of power, but I got out on the sand dunes and like you'd have to think 3 dunes ahead so that you made sure you were on boost when it hit, and it just wasn't fun to ride. So I started looking at it. I'm like, well, that turbo is a pretty good turbo, but it's just too big. So I was like, screw this. I put the stock turbo back on and slapped that turbo on as the second one.
Okay.
And the whole thing like was incredible. It took a while to get tuning and clutching right for it, which we're still working through all those little bugs.
Yeah.
But it suddenly you had a car that had as much power as these big turbo guys.
Wow.
But drivability and spool up of a stock car.
That's awesome.
So suddenly it became way fun to drive.
I bet. That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, people can go to the website and check out your Can-Am turbos, but I'm assuming you build stuff for all the brands there as well too. Are you doing Polaris, Yamaha, all of the above, or are you focused just on Can-Am for now?
We do clutching for everything. We do want to get into the Polaris, but this was the first one we did for turbos, so the Can-Am is the only one with the turbo kit right now, but the Polaris will be coming some point next year.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to.
We're not doing clutching on the Yamaha. That one is a little different clutch.
Okay, sounds good. And so I've got a question here from Kyle Franklin earlier. He's probably heckling me and nudging me a little bit here, but he's asking because he has a Skidoo turbo as well. He goes like, "John, do you really need more power on your Skidoo turbo?" And my answer is like, if more power is available, why not, right? Like there's there's always somebody out there who wants to be the biggest, fastest up on the mountain or wherever it is. But the Skidoo stock turbo is amazing already, and to think about making it even better is why not is my answer. So
for sure.
Awesome.
It's a very phenomenal sled. That they did an absolutely phenomenal job with what they did. I'm not a Skidoo guy. I can't ride them. They somehow they don't like me. I've tried to talk to them about it, but they really don't really like me very much. But it is a phenomenal sled on how it runs. The bottom end is super responsive, and like William said, it's not necessarily the turbo. They just did a phenomenal job on how responsive it is with just the motor, and then they bring that turbo in so nice. And of course, you always need more power. That's what we're here for, is to feed that need. So
absolutely. Like it's my first turbo sled ever, and I was the guy who I like stock stuff. I like warranties. I like stuff. To me, for me personally, right? Not everybody's like this, but reliability and durability is always number one, right? And so for a manufacturer to come out with a warranted turbo, like I'm like. Kind of like the other guy earlier, Mark was like, shut up, take my money, right? It's like,
no. And on that standpoint, I mean, we're just about ready to release our clutch kit for that turbo, and for the guys that want to keep their factory warranty, because I know Skidoo's being sticklers about changing any tuning or any, even they say even putting a muffler on it voids your warranty, but clutching doesn't come up in that void, and our clutching on that is making a pretty good difference. It's a little bit smoother engagement, and it's got a little more bottom end, if that's even possible, than the stock setup.
Very nice, very nice. So there's a question here, and I feel like we kind of addressed it earlier, but I'll just ask it again to see if there's anything you want to kind of either recover or elaborate on. Todd Kramer's asking about what about Polaris clutching or clutching on the Polaris. I felt like we kind of addressed that, but if you want to kind of hit it again quick, go ahead.
On the snowmobiles, I assume?
Todd, I'm assuming Todd's a snowmobiler. I know that for sure. So I'm assuming on the snowmobile side. Yep.
We cover both, but I'm gonna answer it in relation to snow stuff.
Sure.
The Polaris was the first one that I did clutching on, and it's I guess our longest. We've had it out the longest, I guess. So that one is a very flushed out, very, very good kit. And the 850, I mean, It's hard to actually explain how good it is. I mean, I know everybody tells you how good their stuff is,
Yeah.
so it's difficult to tell you. All I can say is the dealer, Grizzly Motorsports in Boise, we took them out for a test ride last year, and they're knocking it out of the park selling our clutch kit because
Wow.
they couldn't believe it. At the end of the day, our clutch kit on an 850 does as much as our competitors' clutch kit and pipe, and I say that with all humility because it's crazy, but it is actually the case. The clutch kit on an 850 Polaris is incredible.
Very cool. So
Kyle,
Kyle,
the 800,
oh.
the 800 is it's
Yeah.
It's just as much. The problem is the 800 doesn't quite have the horsepower the 850 does, but
True story.
it definitely is still.
It's a drastic gain too.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
phenomenal what that clutch kit does.
Cool. And so Kyle Franklin here is on a turbo skidoo. I follow him on Facebook, so I know that. And he says, what is the, and I don't know if this is a question you can answer here, if you're going to have him just like call you at the shop tomorrow type of thing, but what is the weight difference in your stock clutch and your primary and secondary combo, right? And I don't know if that's something you want to share here, on the air versus have him just call you directly to kind of talk him through it or not, but we'll turn it over to you.
There's a couple of different, as far as the primary weight in the primary. Is that what he's asking?
Primary and secondary. I'll read it kind of verbatim. It says, what is the weight difference in a stock clutch versus your clutching for a primary secondary combo? Like, is there a weight savings overall, it sounds like? And the thing I'll just kind of remind everybody of is, even though it may sound like not a huge weight difference, like rotating mass has a centrifugal, has a huge impact more so than just the dead weight on a machine. I know everybody knows that, but I'll just call that out as a reminder. So.
Well, William can go into a little bit more. One thing I do want to point out is that we do keep the clickers on that primary, but William, I think, knows that bolt in there. I think the overall primary weight, William knows a lot better, but we do keep that clicker. We really like that system just for the fact that it's a simplicity. And then, of course, we do use magnets to adjust our weight as well. So you get a lot of adjustability out of that, but William can probably explain a little bit more on what the primary weight is on those.
Okay.
Yeah, you're testing my memory on that, so it might be best if he gives us a call. But
yeah, to me, we're getting into the weeds here a little bit. And if anybody's super interested in the products, I would encourage you to reach out to these guys directly. If you want to try to address it, go ahead. But for sure, if we're getting into some specific details for specific machines, it might be best to just have you guys call directly. So.
Yeah, it definitely, I think, would be helpful. I can't remember exactly how much weight lighter we are. We usually run about 20% lighter in most setups, but we also run shallower helixes, which will close that gap back up just a little bit. But we do that because we can, which is, I mean, there's a whole nother bag of worms talking about how your helix should be shaped.
Yeah.
What we do doesn't work with a normal weight, and so most people, if they ask you what helix it is, you tell them.
It doesn't make any difference. Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah, it's like,
there's no reference, right? There's no point of reference because it's like you're in a whole different ball field versus the ball field you're in. So,
correct.
Yeah.
Very good, very good, cool. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of good detail tonight. Final call. Anything else you guys want to cover tonight before we wrap this up?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys agreeing to join me and come on. Again, this all started out as a networking opportunity, right? So Mr. Wagner's telling me about, how amazing your products are. I was in the market for them, so I gave you a call. And, as I'm on the phone with you, I'm like, hey, what the heck? Let's have you guys on and talk about your products. And, I told you by then I'd be able to use them for your time. And I'm an advocate for the ice scratchers for sure. I've not been a big performance tuning guy personally, but I know a lot of people who follow us are. Let's continue to stay in touch. And as far as I'm concerned, you guys are part of this little friendship network we call Live Large here. So you guys heard me at the beginning of the show. It's live life to the fullest, make the most of every day, and make a difference to others. And as we educate people through avalanche safety and education, products that you guys are having, we're just continuing to expand our friend network that we have here. And I appreciate you guys having and coming on the show tonight.
Cool. I think David's watching this show, but he will be. I'm gonna be getting him a clutch kit to try, and I think I'm probably gonna make him do a review on it. So give him a good, honest review on those. He really liked our ice scratchers. Him and Melissa both did a fantastic job on the install and getting our name out there. So I'm gonna have him do a good, honest review on our 850. Clutch kit that we'll get in his hands. So be expecting him to tell you. I'm sure he'll probably tell you how good it works and everything. So we'll be waiting for that.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Well,
William, any final words?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate you having us on the show.
Yeah, you're very, very welcome.
Thank you very much.
You guys can hang tight for a minute. We'll go ahead and wrap up the show, and I'll talk to you on the back side of the show here. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, everybody. God bless you all, and live large. Have a great night.